I wonder if anyone can call me as a modern day hermit. I have posted some videos about simple life. My life is not quite simple, but in a sense it's simple because I'm living alone in a quiet place. Some human interaction, good neighbors in nature. Right now I can hear the wind chime. I made out of the scrap metal and making a wonderful sound. Wind is blowing through the room, yet I can use the voice memo to record this. So the environment is near the ocean. I have a garden to grow veggies, and I can also pick up some shellfish, pee or mussel if I dive a little bit. I may catch some crabs too. So very lucky I'm almost self-sufficient. I even have this black plastic tube laid out on the roof so that when I come back from swimming or diving, I can just take a quick shower. So I don't use the heater to warm up the water. So in the winter time, it's not so nice, but I can live with it. So yes, hermit-like living. And what's wonderful about it is, to me, it requires me to be creative. And I don't like to drive around to pick things up, so I'd rather fix it. Like those rubber sandal, it comes off the center part, but I can fix it over and over. But much handier than go for buying and spending time waiting in the line. So maybe I should be considered as very cheap. And I don't mind whatever people may call, but it just makes sense. And even have the sense of being creative to everything I do. I watched that Alone is the TV program I saw for people surviving the cold winter with lots of creative ideas. I'm old enough not to do it, but in a way I can feel. And then appreciation of being with nature is the most amazing experience. I have posted the video about melting into nature. And even this morning I was out wandering and watching the branches of a tree swinging in the wind, the leaves moving, and you can identify how the nature is making these plants grow and the birds to fly and the fish to swim and the clouds to move around. You can almost identify. That's the connection. Some people call it the synchronicity, I believe, that you have the sense of awareness, identified feeling, resonance, blissful sensation that can come. 80% rule is what Eckhart Tolle talked about. He doesn't call it it's a rule, but after his awakening, he realized that he doesn't use much of a brain or the mind 80% of the time. And I thought that makes sense. I started to try it. I had a big awakening, I want to call it, as a big one, 22 years ago. And since then, I have a sense of the physiological change of sensing that the blissful sensation coming through or going throughout my body. very easily. But I never thought about spending 80% of time not using the brain. So I start to do that. And what it means is that you become more intuitive. I use the word be conscious of unconscious. When you master any skill, walking or swimming or diving or surfing, whatever, or even using the brain, when we master things, things become so natural, easy to make judgment without consuming your energy, brain power. So you can almost dance, swing around, enjoy. So more I start to do this 80% of no mind to simplify my life, many interesting things happen, and I may have posted lots of videos related to that. The wisdom is the source of what I think I can do without using much of a brain power. But living in a society, I have to go through using the brain, which is cumbersome, but it's necessary, and I see the reason why I need to do that. But yet, where I feel at home is this blissful sensation of being the now and connecting to the root of who I am. And the sensation of this resonating sense. Again, some people use the word synchronicity. I never thought about that term, but the synchronicity sounded like an objective view of what's happening. And this is the subjective view of experiencing it, resonating to what's going on. Everything is reflecting or expressing the power of the universe, the law of nature, and I'm one of them. Unless I use my left brain, consuming my energy, and be at home. And that's why I say simplicity, hermit-like living, very fit. Also perhaps related to my old age. The cumbersome things of dealing with the issues in the society. I'm traveling to the US to go through various hurdles and give me a headache. It's necessary, I'll do it. But I think what the society, many people feel is the change that we encounter because of the technological change, the lots of information, how to process it, and if you are to work to deal with all of that. Well, on the other hand, we are also possibly accessing lots of interesting information that triggers us to think there may be a different life. Less use, less consumption of the brain power, but almost like floating with the waves of the universe. I call it going back to the Garden of Eden. And then we can eat the apple again to use the brain that's needed. But there's a balance that we can make. It's our choice. And it's not the choice of society and friends and others to tell you what to do and you to follow. It's your inner sense of identifying yourself with the flow of the universe that we may discover. And there's that sweet spot, the flow that we can appreciate. So, hermit-like living, simple life, yet I can talk with people, maybe also related to my retired situation, even though I still work and consume time on the internet or conferencing. But it's also for the idea of the resonance, synchronicity, if that's the word, to be aware and for everyone to appreciate that moment that we can communicate at a higher level or at the root level, you might want to call it, because that's where we came from, and still is being in the flow of how the law of nature is manifesting in our whole body and the cells and the brain as well. It's a different life, different dimension. Mind is not the whole of who we are. I believe that's why all the statistics indicate more people move out of the big cities. Of course, in the cities there may be interesting challenges, but many of those challenges, even my son, who's perhaps 33 now, doing some work on the internet so he can live in Costa Rica, he says, and do the job. I was with him in Costa Rica. I don't know if that's the reason why I decided to move on to that country. But there are more choices, and that's what I see in the change taking place. Many people start to look for a different kind of job to satisfy the need. Inner voice, they listening to the heart. And the other statistics I see seem to be connected to the trend that I see for people to be more spiritual, going to the basic way of living, is that the population growth is going down. If you have son, daughter going through the stress of the world, what's the point? I think the percentage of people getting pregnant becoming less. Sperm count, I understand, is getting less. You might want to check if these are true, but those may be the indication of the stress that we may encounter with this rapid change of the environment, affecting our physiology or the way of how our body functions, because body is suffering, but we may not see it if our mind are busy chasing the dream and forget about the body. So body, immune system, cancer, I don't know all of that in detail, but intuitively the stress is causing us to change our behavior. What I want to call it more toward the spiritual, whatever the term you may want to choose, a simple life. You can still communicate over the internet. Amazing amount. Last night I was watching the mixed jazz at YouTube, and I could connect all the singers and the instrument, piano, drums, guitar, clarinet, all of that. So beautiful. Many of them have died, but they're alive there. In just the touch of the finger, you can select, and perhaps YouTube or Google help me to set up those selected songs that I'm fond of, that I was just immersed and feeling blissful sensation, just as if I'm right there. Many of them black and white, only pictures, but the sound was so real. So you don't need to go watch in person. Well, maybe my ears are not as acute or sensitive as other people, and I'm happy to what I can listen to. But that's the quality that it's on the fingertip. And lots of information out there, therefore video conferencing is one, but the way of life are changing, and the hermit life can be a social life in the sense of connection with others in various means. I'm lucky to be in this situation to appreciate life as I'm still healthy and my mind is still functioning okay. Hopefully, if there's anybody listening to this, because this is more like my monologue or the journal video series that I'm doing to reflect on my life and catching the moment of interest, amazement. And if that can stimulate any others, I'll be happy to keep doing this for my own sake, but possibly for others to benefit from. Thank you.